And New York police boss Mike O'Meara has blasted the media and legislators in an emotional press conference.
This isn't stained by someone in Minneapolis. It's still got a shine on it. And so do theirs. So do theirs. Stop treating us like animals and thugs, and start treating us with some respect. That's what we're here today to say. We've been left out of the conversation. We've been vilified. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Trying to make us embarrassed of our profession. 375 million interactions. Overwhelmingly positive. Nobody talks about all the police officers that were killed in the last week in the United States of America, and there were a number of them. We don't condone Minneapolis. We roundly reject what he did as disgusting. It's disgusting. It's not what we do. It's not what police officers do. Our legislators abandoned us. The press is vilifying us. Well, you know what, guys? I'm proud to be a cop, and I'm going to continue to be proud to be a cop until the day I retire. And that's all I have to say.
Ben, what do you think?
Oh God, I was like, please don't come to me. Please don't come to me. I think that the message is okay. I just think it's not the right time for them to be saying.
Yes.
I think I see where they're coming from. It's just not the right time to be saying that. I think the language choices were poor. I understand that this is a really emotional time for a lot of people in America, and I could see where he was trying to go with it. It could have been really powerful had he had a little bit more understanding of everybody. It just seemed really white when I looked at all those faces, and there was a few things being created there. The clip's hard to watch.
You know, Ben, it's interesting that on this very show, we've talked about what a great job the police do, but there's no denying there have been some really bad instances. Police cars have been ramming through people. Protesters have been just beaten. It hasn't been a good look for the police force, has it?
Well, we're only seeing certain things. So, we are highlighting a lot of negative stuff right now.
Sure.
So, look, it is very difficult. And I think that's where the message I felt is kind of right to a certain extent, but it just the whole thing makes me nervous. Go to Robbo.
Robbo, what I will say, and I haven't included the shot here because I haven't validated its authenticity, but there is a shot going around of someone who is believed to be that very same man in front of a flag, a New York City police flag, with a T-shirt on saying, "I can breathe."
Look, it's what we need is inclusion at the moment, not division. Yeah, I agree with Ben. I think that this could have been handled much better. There's obviously anger there. And we obviously we don't know about that picture, and if that comes to light, that's also disturbing. I get their anger. However, your police, their police, you don't condone what they did, that's fine. But the point is that it was done, and it was done behind a police uniform and
Yes.
behind the police brand. So you can condemn it, but don't come out. You know what I would have liked is that he condemned it first. That he said that we don't do that here. We've had all these things, but he didn't. He came out and demanded respect. Well, I'm going to tell you right now. Overall, most officers, police, are good and do very well jobs around the world. However, there's a big problem in America. We see it all the time. So now's not the time to say we demand respect. Of course you do. Of course you do. But it's a two-way street. This was handled poorly.
I think communication is key. And at the end of the day, we need to get to a better place in the world where we make our points without yelling. And I think that was another thing that was really polarizing by this clip. Aggression and raising your voice in this particular instance like that is not a good way to be able to undo conflict. It's actually only just exacerbating the situation.
I have a lot of respect for the message he's trying to get across because we should respect the police. And we've spoken on this show when I've seen people doing the wrong thing by the police, I am on the police officer's side. The problem I have here is that we have seen a lot. It's not just one or two clips. We have seen a lot and a lot and a lot of vision of police doing the wrong thing as part of these, subsidizing the protesters. We have seen that older man get pushed down onto the ground. Now, I can understand he was close and he pushed him and it went horribly wrong. I get that. And to that point, I'm fine. My big problem, though, he's bleeding from the ears and then police are walking past him and they're not paying any attention. Then, to make matters worse, and this is a side issue, we have the President of the United States offering conspiracy theories that he was scanning their equipment and that he's part of some fringe group, which he's come out and said, of course I'm not, But the thing that got me about all of that is the police officers were charged, and what happened? What was the number, Robbo? Something like 57 police officers went and resigned and stood outside the courthouse cheering their fellow officers who had pushed this defenseless man down and basically left him to die. There was blood coming out of his ears. That's where you can't have it both ways. You can't be on the side. I get the supporting the blue line. I get that. But you've also got to look at when the blue line has crossed the line and when they're doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, but just
it's
quickly,
a two-way street, isn't it? And you're exactly right. But they walked past. Sorry, they walked past him. They pushed him over. He was an elderly man, 75. They pushed him over. He didn't get up again. He didn't struggle or anything, and they kept walking past. Mm-hmm. Now, I understand solidarity in the ranks, and I get all of that. But at the court mention that you said just before, they held up black umbrellas. They held up black sheets to shield the officers who were being charged from the media. That's not a good look. And that doesn't help this guy in New York who's yelling and screaming. It's protectionism, but it's wrong, though. I would suggest, I can see the image in my head, and it's an image I really don't want to relive all the time, but it's an image where you see, probably 4, 5, 6, 7 police officers walk past that man. Now, sorry, I just want to go back. Isn't it to serve and protect? Aren't you there to help us? So if that's happened... It's happened in an instant, but wouldn't you just bloody stop and just check to see if the man was okay?
Yeah, I think those police officers did come forward, and I think they realised that they'd made a mistake. And I actually, there was a tiny shred. Tiny shred.
They're pleading not. Yeah. They're pleading not guilty. So they haven't come forward and acknowledged it. They're pleading not guilty.
I just want to be really careful with something. I've got this friend of mine, and just bear with me, guys, but I've got this friend of mine who she sends little videos every day about the 5G towers and Pete Evans type stuff. And, if you're only ever watching certain videos there and you're only watching those little documentaries, then as soon as, I can understand why my friend is now, believing that narrative. And I do think at the moment we are getting to see some really bad behavior from the police that is completely inexcusable. And I have to say that I'm not excusing that behavior at all. So just be careful I just want to be careful with that. But we're not seeing the man hours and the good that these people are doing as well. The media are highlighting some really horrific clips.
But as they should, because the police officers are doing the wrong thing. You can't just say, well, 90% of the time they do the right thing. They're meant to do the right thing. And so when they do the wrong thing, that is absolutely the media's job to highlight that, bring it to the attention. And as far as the panel on this show, we are really well read. We look at a lot of news sources, so we're not just getting our information from Pete Evans. Look at the sources we put up when we put our headline graphics up. It's from ABC, it's from News Limited, it's from 9 newspapers, it's from overseas newspapers, it's from The Guardian. We get a cross-section of stories for this very program. So we're not in a bubble, we're only looking at one thing. We really are trying to get the full story here. And when police do the wrong thing, I believe they absolutely should be called out. They are not above the law.
They're not.
No, they're definitely not above the law.
Police brutality is not a conspiracy. Like that's not a Pete Evans thing. We can see it all the time now. Even if we saw a bubble, if you want to call it that, where that man was standing there, it's irrelevant what was happening before because we saw him just standing there. There wasn't a big group. They weren't rushing. They pushed him over and kept walking over him. That's not a
Yeah,
conspiracy.
I think you need to have a
That's
look
not
at that.
like taking it into
have a look at that
context.
clip again because Robbo, I was 100% with you on this, and I the first time I watched that clip, I walked away with exactly the same impressions. But then when I rewatched this clip this morning on Ticker Jumpstart, there's a plug, I noticed that when the police were very close to him, it was all of a sudden he pulled something out and did this sort of weird jab. I think it was a phone, or it might have even been a walking stick for all of this man's, accountability. But there was this one moment where it did all of a sudden look quite dangerous. And so did the punishment fit the crime? Absolutely not. It was a horrific thing that happened to that man, but I just am not 100% ready to condemn the entire American police force. I want to iron out the mistakes they make, and I want them to be accountable for things that they do wrong, but I just am not ready to villainize the police right across America when only 10% of them are making fundamental mistakes.
Ben, what I would say to that is that I said at the very top of this, I actually didn't have a problem with them pushing him away. He maybe got a bit close and all that kind of stuff. But when he was lying on the ground and people
And they
were
walking past him,
walking past him, that's an issue.
Yeah, I know, and it was horrific. Like the whole thing. The first time I saw it was horrific. The second time I saw it, and it's a vision I can't get out of my mind. But I think that's why I'm just wanting to highlight the fact that I think somewhere in the message that this police officer was saying at this rally, it could have been handled so much better. And I just didn't appreciate his aggressive nature. But I'm trying to look at it at a 360 degree.
Yeah.
It's the Ben, Rob and Robbo, Ben, Rob and Robbo, Ben, Rob